It's early morning at 6:19 a.m., and the sky over the Caribbean Sea is painted in soft blue and pale gold. The water is calm, almost glass-like, reflecting the rising sun. About 140 miles north of the Venezuelan coastline, the USS Gerald R. Ford, the most advanced aircraft carrier on the planet, moves steadily across open water. Her deck crews follow routine rhythms of checks, signals, equipment movement, everything unfolding with the precision of a machine refined by training and discipline. And then something changes. Two tiny blips appear on radar. At first, they could be anything of birds, weather clutter, civilian aircraft, but within seconds the behavior becomes unmistakable. Fast, low, closing distance. Sailors on deck pause without even realizing why. There's no alarm yet, no command, just instinct or the feeling before sound. And then the faint hum finally reaches human ears. The hum becomes a growl, the growl becomes a roar. Through the haze of warm air rising from the sea, two aircraft burst into view, the Venezuelan Honduque 8 light attack jets. They aren't flying casually, they aren't observing protocol, and they certainly aren't here by mistake. They streak forward at low altitude, barely 2,000 feet above the water, cutting across the Gerald R. Ford's bow in what can only be described as an intentional, aggressive flyby. No radio call, no transponder acknowledgement, no attempt to communicate, just raw speed and attitude. Their wings tilt, almost taunting, the military gesture halfway between a greeting and a threat. But intimidation doesn't work unless the target acknowledges it, and the carrier doesn't move. On the bridge, the commanding officer stands silent, binoculars steady. Maintain course, he orders, a voice calm, measured, almost bored. To anyone unfamiliar with naval operations, the lack of reaction might look careless, even naive. But to those who understand power projection, discipline is a weapon. Superpowers don't twitch. As the Venezuelan jets climb sharply, afterburners igniting in streaks of flame, their maneuver leaves a ribbon of exhaust twisting through the sky. It's dramatic, reckless, and dangerously close for such a massive warship, especially one whose defense systems could track something as small as a drone, or even a tennis ball, dozens of miles away. Below deck, deep inside the ship, the Combat Information Center monitors everything. Infrared feeds show the truth. Empty weapon hardpoints. No missiles. No live ordnance. Meaning this wasn't a strike run. It was a performance. A test. A dare. And dares between armed nations are dangerous territory. Because out here in international waters, even a split-second misinterpretation can escalate into a global headline. At 6:21, the jets peel off and begin returning toward Venezuela. For a moment, tension fades, the kind of breath you release slowly after something sharp almost happened. But the quiet does not last, because 2 minutes later, another radar contact appears. Then another, and suddenly, the picture changes. Inside the dark SIC, screens glow green and amber. Operators sit forward, eyes sharp, hands hovering above controls, not panicked, just focused. New contacts. High speed. Climbing. For targets total. Forming up into a second approach pattern. This is no casual patrol. No random pass. This is deliberate escalation. Above deck, the atmosphere shifts from routine to readiness. Not frantic. Not chaotic. Just different. Air Wing 8 snaps into controlled motion. Two F-18E Super Hornets are fully operational, combat-ready, are positioned for launch. Deck crew in yellow jerseys give precise hand signals. Catapult teams crouch low, helmets reflecting the rising sun. Everything is synchronized, a dance perfected through repetition. The first Super Hornet locks into the electromagnetic catapult. Flaps set. Wings extended. A final check. A thumb raised. A hand signal drops. And in a blast of steam and power, the jet launches forward and vanishes into the sky. Moments later, its wingman follows another streak of metal and authority breaking into the morning air. Their mission: intercept, identify, control the situation without starting a war. Back in the strike group formation, the two escort destroyers USS Thomas Hudner and USS Mason move subtly forward, adjusting position to tighten the defensive wall around the fort. No alarms blare, no orders barked, just movement controlled, calculated, deliberate. By 6:26 a.m., the Super Hornets are climbing past 15,000 feet, closing the distance to the unknown aircraft. Inside the cockpit, the pilot with the call sign Viper 1 observes his displays. For aircraft, altitude increasing, direction unchanged. Control, Viper 1, he radios. We have visual radar confirmation before Venezuelan K-8S. Request row status. The reply carries no emotion. Rules of engagement remain defensive. Maintain non-provocative posture. Copy that. Below them, the carrier strike group forms a perfect diamond, a floating fortress protected by layers of intelligence, sensors, and automated defense systems capable of reacting faster than any human ever could. At 6:28, sunlight hits the second Venezuelan formation as they emerge from a bank of clouds. Viper 1 sends the first call. Unidentified aircraft, identify immediately. You are approaching United States Naval Forces in international airspace. For a moment, only static answers. Then a voice crackles through accented, assertive, rehearsed. American aircraft, you are violating Bolivarian airspace. Alter course immediately. The problem? That statement wasn't just incorrect, it was politically charged. Still in international airspace. Still following lawful navigation. Still acting within global maritime norms. But facts don't stop staged confrontations. One Venezuelan jet cuts across Viper 1's nose, closer than any responsible pilot should dare, triggering his proximity alarm. His wingman's voice comes through. Spacing's tightening. They're crowding. Back on the fort, every radar sees the same thing unfolding, a near-collision geometry. On the bridge, one officer mutters under his breath. That's not disorganization. That's provocation. Still, the carrier neither slows nor turns. Because altering course could signal fear or worse, or validate the false territorial claim. The standoff continues. At 17,000 feet, the Hornets shadow the Venezuelans, holding position like wolves tracking a pair of reckless predators. On thermal screens, the enemy aircraft glow faint white, engines hot, movements sharp. Again, one Venezuelan jet breaks formation, diving low, executing a dangerous, almost theatrical close pass. Inches from chaos, one operator whispers. In the Ford's combat center, the order is given quietly. Serum to warm standby. Phalanx tracking only. Meaning, the ship's automatic defense weapons are armed enough to respond instantly, but not permitted to fire unless absolutely necessary. The distance closes. 6:32. One Venezuelan pilot rolls inverted, flying upside down, and drops altitude rapidly toward the destroyer Mason. The move is reckless beyond logic. The kind of thing a pilot does when he forgets the consequences extend far beyond himself. The Phalanx's turret, a rapid-fire cannon system, slews toward the target automatically. A bead of steel precision tracks the jet. No one gives the fire command. Silence, outloaded. In the air, the Hornets maintain formation, disciplined, steady, unreactive. They watch. Record. Wait. Finally, after a breath that feels longer than minutes, the Venezuelan aircraft climb away and reduce throttle. The tension begins to ease, but no one celebrates. Because incidents like this don't end when the jets disappear. They end when the world interprets them. At 6:37, the radar confirms the aircraft turning away, one returning toward Venezuela immediately, the other lingering for a final slow loop, as if reluctant to admit the performance is finished. A single radar spike registers a brief targeting lock aimed at the carrier. A deliberate final note. Viper 1 reports calmly. Ford controlled, we were painted by fire control radar. Duration less than 2 seconds. Copy. Log. No response. Because responding is what the other side wanted. And silence denied them that satisfaction. Minutes later, the skies are clear. But the consequences travel fast. Within an hour, Venezuelan state television broadcasts carefully edited footage claiming the jets forced the U.S. carrier to turn away. Except the Ford never changed heading. Not 1 degree. In Washington, analysts review the infrared recordings frame by frame. Their conclusion: not a military strike. Not strategic reconnaissance. Just gray zone escalation, a kind of geopolitical muscle flexing meant to provoke reaction without crossing into outright conflict. To naval strategists, this was familiar. A modern form of Cold War aerial chess, reckless, symbolic, and risky. The true message of the encounter wasn't violence. It was restraint. Anyone can pull a trigger. Anyone can panic. Anyone can respond emotionally. But real power, the kind recognized globally, is patient. It waits. It chooses. It does not react, it controls. So now comes the question. If you were the pilot in that moment watching another aircraft barrel toward your carrier at full throttle, would you hold the line? Would you trust the rules? Would you stay silent knowing one wrong move could rewrite history? Tell me in the comments. And if you made it all the way through this story, do one thing: like, share, subscribe. Not because the ocean is beautiful, but because stories like this remind us that sometimes the strongest message is to missile. It's the choice not to fire one. Because when you're the most capable warship on the planet, you don't need to shout. The ocean already knows who's in charge.